what was your mindset throughout this race? Is this a race that you'll always look back on and say, wow, this was pretty cool?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just feeling my face while you're talking, and they say when you have a lot of adrenaline, your facial hair grows faster and your fingernail hairs grow faster. And I got a shadow on my nails need to be trimmed, but
Wolfman.
Just what a day. I'm not really sure where to start, but I guess I could just kind of recap the day for you guys. But we knew we had to win, obviously, coming into this week and this day. And when the weekend started, I thought we had the opportunity to do that. We had very, very fast cars at Daytona and Talladega here in the past 3 restrictor plate races, and really didn't get any of the results we thought we're capable of with, I think I restarted second in the 500 in the last restart and whiffed on winning the Daytona 500, and, I still have some nightmares about that one. And then Talladega just kind of, I fell into every bit of chaos possible here in the spring, and then the Daytona race in July, just wrong place, wrong time. And in the back of my mind, those 3 races that we had so much speed at and no results to show for it made me feel like we were due. And I told everybody, well, not everybody, but I told Roger and Ford and guys like Paul and my spotter Joey Meyer that I felt we were going to win today because of that. And I felt like those mistakes, whether it was Daytona on the last restart and the bad luck that we faced, they couldn't continue to go that way. And sure enough, it did. We certainly didn't just get handed this race today. We had the incident early in the race where I think the one car blew a tire. I'm not sure exactly. That's what I heard. He blew a tire, and he half spun and kind of got in our door and tore that up. It's a pretty hard hit. I thought the car was torn up pretty good, but I still haven't seen it. But Paul says it was good. And we maybe lost just a touch of speed, but not enough to, kind of overcome the will to win that we had today. From there it was about finding the track position, making the right moves, finding the right lanes. And I thought we were in good shape, having run top 5, top 10 most of the race. And sure enough, on that green flag pit cycle, the yellow came out and kind of trapped us behind a lot of cars we were going to be in front of. And we ended up restarting 16th or something like that with 10 to go. And that felt like a death sentence in itself. But we kept our composure. I worked really well with my teammates Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, and made kind of the perfect move that nobody ever sees when they think about these races. We made kind of the perfect move together to go from 16th to 2nd with, I think, in 3 or 4 laps there. That put us in position to really capitalize on the last 2 yellows. And from there we did just that. So we positioned ourselves well with great teamwork, executed the restarts kind of off those lessons learned from Daytona. And, from there it was all about that last lap and choosing the lanes wisely to be able to block the cars that had runs. And all that came together perfectly. So, I kind of feel like Hannibal here. I love when a plan comes together. But it just everything just felt right today, and we're here as winners because of that.
Okay, we'll go back to the floor now for questions. We'll go Tom, Bob, and then Nate.
Brad, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Congratulations on the victory. You've always been somebody who's been very much of a historian of the sport, especially coming from a racing family. So I'm sure you know there's only 14 or 15 guys who've won multiple championships in this series.
Yep.
How important is it
29,
to you?
I think, have won more than one. Is it something like that?
No, it's 14 or 15
Okay,
have won
14 or 15.
more than one. How important is it to you to win a second one?
There's 29 champions in general, right? And 14 of them are single champions. Sorry, that took me a second to catch up. Bear with me. It's been a long day at Talladega, you know. It's very important to me because I think probably one of the things I look to the most in life, you know, is kind of self-judgment in a way, is making the most of opportunities. Whether that's when I first got started and was in a back marker car, and at that point the opportunity is to learn and to survive the day and get a decent finish. And as my career grew from there to, you know, having better cars, better opportunities, you try to maximize it and take a 10th place car and run 5th with it, or, you know, things in those scenarios. But today I sit before you guys with what I consider to be a championship caliber effort at Team Penske. And my own expectations or goals are to make the most of that opportunity and win races, win championships. We've done that with, you know, race wins, and we've done it with a championship. But our opportunity and our capabilities as a group are so much higher than that, and I don't want to miss out on it. So it's very, very important to me personally to be able to win multiple championships and to live up to that opportunity that, you know, I'm so fortunate to have, that guys like Paul and Roger have provided.
Quick follow-up for Paul. How much of an advantage is it to you as a crew chief to have both cars in?
Well, like I said, both teams work so well together, whether we're in or not. I think as you look through the garage, I feel like our two cars continually every week you see them with the strength, and that's just because of how well we work together. And you know, I see that to continue here over the next 4 races. And you know, at the end of the day, as long as we have a Penske car in victory lane at Homestead, that's our goal.
Well, let's go with Bob, Nate, and then Ed.
Bob Hucker, Sporting News. Roger, you talk about being a team effort, and plate racing, you always need help from your teammates, but then there's always the balance of, you know, team orders, and Joey's obviously going on to the next round. How did you tell Joey to kind of approach this race, and what did maybe he have latitude to do and or not do?
Well, it's pretty simple. You know, he was already with the structure, you know, of the chase. He was already committed into the next round. So we said and sat down with he and Brad and even Blaney and said, whatever you can do today to help the 2-car get in the winner's circle, that's what you had to do. And I think he obeyed orders pretty well.
Let's go to Nate, Ed, and then to George Diaz.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. I have 2. First for Paul. Brad talked a lot about Friday about how the Charlotte incident galvanized the team, and there was a time where you could break or you could bond, and he felt like the team bonded. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like the team learned a little bit about itself last Saturday and is in a better position going forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, this team's for the most part been together, you know, since we moved to Cup in 2011, and you know, we work really well together, and you know, I guess maybe I showed a little side of me that I surprised some people last week, but I've told others this week that at the end of the day, you know, I'd stand up for anyone on this team, including the driver, and I believe in every one of them. So I guess maybe, you know, looking at it from that standpoint, that yeah, it definitely didn't hurt, and showed that we're going to stick together as a team no matter what happens.
And then for Brad, I'm sure it wasn't lost on you that the guy following you to the checkered flag was also the guy who had you in a headlock last Saturday. Wait, Roger said that he told you to look out the windshield, don't look in the rearview mirror. What were your thoughts? Did you have any?
Well, you can't drive Talladega without looking in the mirror, and I think I more just kind of laughed in a irony way, appreciating the irony that is. You probably have a better word for it than that, but yeah, don't you have a better word for it than that? Actually, not irony. Okay, all right, fair enough. It's a coincidence. Okay, there's something there. I don't know what, but it to me it was just funny how this racing world works out. I don't know why it is that way. I don't know why it seems like every week where there's either a fight in the garage or a mishap or something like that happens, that those two cars and people end up together, whether it was our cars were parked together in the garage area or on the racetrack for the win in the closing laps at Talladega. I don't know why that happened, so I got a chuckle out of that personally, but I didn't feel uncomfortable in the least bit. The cars, the way they work, it was just a matter for me personally to just kind of manage the 3 lanes with car movements and keep an eye ahead, keep an eye at mirror ahead. Just keep your eyes get tired from that, but and trying to manage all 3 lanes, and it just so happened to be that Matt was leading his lane, and his lane had the best run at the end. I came down and blocked it, and that was enough to seal our fate as a winner and seal his fate as second. But it's kind of just funny to me personally how that stuff works out, and I'm sure we'll race each other some more, and maybe something bad will happen, maybe it won't. That's part of it. But for today, we're happy with the result, and we'll move on.
Okay. Go ahead, Ed.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Brad, and maybe searching for the right word, maybe Boyer put it best, and he looked over at Kenseth a while ago in here, and he said, "Man, do you realize you just pushed Brad Keselowski to the win?" Said that was a bitch, wasn't it? Is that closer? I mean, you said you chuckled, but in all seriousness, could you have pulled off this win without that? You get the great push from Logano on the restart, but y'all couldn't sustain that. Could you have done it without that push from Kenseth?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to replay the film to see all the variables. So I don't know. Probably not, but it's hard to say.
All right, let's go to press box for a quick one, and we'll come back downstairs, and we'll get a question from Jenna, and then Jay, and then George. Go ahead.
Jim Utter from the Charlotte Observer. Brad, I asked this earlier of Roger, and it kind of goes to what Nate was saying about circumstances. Coming into this race, you, Matt, Dale Jr., and Jimmy Johnson pretty much were the 4 guys who most needed to do well or win. The 4 of you either ran really strong, led the most laps, in your case won, Matt finished second. Is that a coincidence, or is that the performance of those 4 teams a product of the system?
Ooh, that's a really in-depth question, Jim. First off, I'd say Dale Jr. is a phenomenal plate racer, one of the best ever. So for him to lead a bunch of laps and be up front would probably be the case no matter what the system is. And I would say, in a very similar nature, Matt's a really good plate racer as well. So under any system, I would say those 2 guys you expect to lead laps and finish up front, barring accidents. But I felt like Jimmy found another level today for sure and ran a really, really great race. That's probably the best plate race I've seen him run. So, he probably found another level that was most impressive to me, and maybe that was the system for him that made him put a lot of focus on it. I don't know. I hate to answer for them, but for us, I thought, we didn't really approach this weekend any differently than I think we would have had we been running second or third in the points and had a 30 or 40-point lead. I felt like we had an opportunity to win, and that's what we came here to do. And under any system, that's what we needed to do, or wanted to do at the very least, but didn't necessarily want to have to need to do it. But we were able to pull it off, and I think the system, probably more than anything else, Jim, just makes the win today that much sweeter than anything.
Okay, it'll go Jenna, George, and Jay. Go ahead, Jenna.
Jennifer, AP. Brad, in the last 10 years or so, we've really only seen one driver, I guess Tony Stewart, be able to climb out of the corner or off the wall with self-inflicted jabs or wounds or whatever he's incurred. And you seem to be able to do that yourself, get yourself into a lot of trouble, and then rise out of it the next week. How do you do that?
Well, first off, racing's kind of funny to me like that. The trophy will put on there, and they'll put a plaque on it, and it'll say Brad Keselowski, and that's means something to me. Don't get me wrong, but this is not a one-person sport. And a lot of people think of it that way, but I personally don't. It's in some ways, or on some days, mildly insulting to me that it's considered that. The trophy should say Team Penske on it, because we're surrounded by great people. Whether that's the captain sitting next to me, my crew chief Paul Wolfe, my spotter Joey Meyer, and I hate comparing ourselves to other sports, but if you took a football team and said that, Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl, he would probably, think that wasn't right, because it's not. Everybody had a role in today. And when things go bad, maybe I have more of a role when they go bad, and and the other guys have more of a role when they go good that they don't get enough credit for. But everybody plays a part in our success. So I'm very hesitant to sit here before you and say, that I did this one thing and that's why we're in victory lane today, because of this, and that, and kind of pat myself on the back, because it's really not about that. It's really about us working as a collective group to persevere over countless obstacles and adversity that this sport puts up every week. For whatever reason, I seem to have to climb over bigger ones than a lot of other people do, and if I could figure out that reason, I'd try to get rid of it, but it's certainly not something we want to have to do, but like I said before, it does make winning that much sweeter.
I respect what you said, but you were under attack somewhat throughout the garage. You were under attack somewhat throughout the garage. How do you not let that get you down and defeated?
Well, it's not something I enjoy. I don't look to go out there and have to fight those battles. That just makes life a lot harder. But there's a part of me that's come to accept that this isn't going to be easy. That I didn't come into this sport in an era where it was going to work out any other way. I mean, look at the drivers that came through my era. I came into this sport. My first win here was in 2009. First full season was in 2010. Besides my teammate Joey Logano, what other drivers came from that era and are successful? There isn't one. There's not one that came through those 4 or 5 years. And that's for good reason. They've been ran out of the sport. And I'm not going to let that happen. And, for me, that means that sometimes there's going to be some uncomfortable moments. Certainly there were some uncomfortable moments this week. There's been some uncomfortable moments in the past. I hope that there's not any more uncomfortable moments in the future, but there probably will be. And until that cycles, in my own eyes, until that cycles and the drivers that kind of have the old guard feel from the late 90s and early 2000s are still around, or aren't around, I should say, then that will probably continue to be the case. And, I've took, in some ways, solace upon that.
Jenna, let me just say one thing I can't leave without, number one, these guys are jealous of the job he's done this year. He's won 6 races. He's made poles. He's been up front. And nobody likes to see a guy win like that. And the fact that he has a little edge on him, and he's continually delivering, obviously, I think makes a difference. If everybody understood what happened on the racetrack last week, and when you get your rear fender knocked off on a restart, and you get your front fender knocked off, on a pass by, I want him to get mad. I don't want him to take it. So to me, coming back was we talked about it Sunday night, and I said, let's just go on to our test during the week, move on here. And I think that Brad, I said, put it in the rearview mirror.
Okay, let's go to George.
Yeah, Brad, back here. Over here to your right. Piggybacking a little bit what Jenna said, you mentioned you didn't have time for that garbage last week. How specifically, how do you filter all of that out, especially you're in cyberspace quite a bit there, and there was a lot of noise going on in cyberspace.
Well, I got a lot to answer your question, George. I got a lot of help from that with having a test scheduled in Martinsville. So Paul put me to work. That's the easiest way. And then beyond that, I think it's having the support structure behind you, kind of like I was saying to Jenna. And, I guess in specific terms, that's knowing that you listen to your team guys, and I guess that test was important because it was a chance for us to bond together. And, I feel like I have a great group of people around me that are willing to tell me the inconvenient truth sometimes. And in this case, the inconvenient truth would be if they felt I was wrong. And the people around me weren't saying that. And in that way and in that feeling, those guys having given me the support that they did helps me turn the page.
Let's go to take 3 more questions. Jay, Jerry, and then Bob Pockris.
Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. Brad, saying that you're going to win, obviously it's the good thing to say to the team, it's the right thing to say to motivate them, but then actually going out and doing it at Talladega, expecting to do it is borderline insane. Now that you've done it, what confidence does this give you going forward for the rest of the year and then even forward in your career?
Well, I might have said it to my team, but I'm not trying to be Babe Ruth or anything like that or be that guy. I felt like we had the opportunity. As I was saying when I walked in here, I felt like, almost like a gambler. If you counted the cards were in our favor. And Talladega is not a place where I think anyone, if they were going to call their shot, would call it. But I felt like the odds were maybe not for us in the championship, but they were for us in the sense of Talladega and plate racing, and certainly it played out today. But as far as what that means going forward, I don't know. We all hit the reset button as soon as we leave this track. The 6 wins that we have mean nothing. Everyone has 0 points within the top 8, and we still have to go out and perform over these next 4 weeks, especially Homestead. We got to get to Homestead first, right? Got to get in that top 4. Then we got to get to Homestead and really deliver, and that's going to be a huge challenge, and we know that. But as far as what today says for that, it says that we're capable of a lot, but nothing more.
Jerry, over to the far left.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires. Brad, you said before this round started, this round scared the hell out of you. With a win here now,
it did. It still does.
What are your thoughts in the next round and coming into these next 3 tracks?
Well, I think we're in a really good spot for these next 4 races, but we've got to still execute. We've tested at 2 out of the next, or we're going to have tested at 3 out of the next 4 races, 2 in the next bracket with Texas and Martinsville. And we have a Homestead test, I think, in 2 weeks, week and a half, something like that. We're in a very good position. It'd be nice to go to Martinsville and win, get a grandfather clock, and have 3 weeks to really think about Homestead. And that's my mentality moving forward. But if that doesn't happen, we still have any one of these 4 tracks, which I think are good tracks for us.
Final question right here, Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. Brad, can you kind of take us through your emotions from Saturday night? Were you at a point of almost being devastated of where you were in the points, and then compare it to today?
I don't know if devastated is the right word, but certainly frustrated is. We entered today 22 points back, something like that? 19. I can't remember exactly what it was now. And that's not good. That's not good at all. Entering the race 19 points to the good, it wouldn't have been where we wanted to be. But it like I said, it is what it is, and we had to move on. And the great thing about this type of format is that at any given point, we knew that if we came here and won, it didn't matter what happened at Charlotte. Didn't matter what happened at Kansas with the blown tire. None of that stuff mattered. So there's always a way out with this format, which is something that I can personally take as a point of pride and a method for justifying the mental capacity to move on and look forward.
Any additional questions for this race-winning team? Jenna, and then Kyle over here. Let's get the mic to Jenna, please, and then to Kyle.
Versus Penske battle, and Rick lost 3 cars today. Does that make it any easier for you guys?
Sorry about that.
Sorry, I didn't even. I'm still caught up in what we did.
88, 48, and 5 got knocked out.
There's a lot of racing left to do. A lot of great teams. I think it's a mistake to really focus on one thing. The 4-car has been so strong. It's not going to be easy. I guess it's probably the short answer. No matter who gets eliminated, it's not going to be easy.
Final question. Far right, over here. Far right, Kyle.
Kyle McCurry, Fox in Charlotte. I asked Kevin Harvick this last week when he won. He has not won a championship. You have. I just wonder, as you go into this chase, knowing how it's been, how gut-wrenching it's been at times, and how much emotion has come up, would this one be higher on your list than the first one?
Well, I don't know. I think it would probably soak in a lot more. The first one still feels like a dream. And I think any racer would tell you that one win is great, but it doesn't really sink in, whether that's a race or a championship. It's when you get to multiple wins or multiple championships that you really start to almost appreciate where you're at and understand the significance and think about it that way. And for me, I'm very, very proud of our 2012 championship, but I know, like I said earlier, the opportunities that are in front of us, I want to make the most of them. And beyond that, it's hard to say how I would feel if I won another one, but I sure would like to find out.
Well, I think, the first one was took many years to get there, and to do it with Dodge was, pretty important to us as they left the sport after that. To me, once you win one here, you set your sights higher. The caliber of the people that we were able to pull together for that first championship are the same people that we've galvanized now around us. And then adding Joey and having 2 cars that, can run for the championship, gives us, just looking at basic statistics, a better chance. And certainly if we can get 2 cars into the final, it would be amazing. And as I said to both these guys, one of you might win, but if one does, the team wins, and that's how we try to run the business.